From CivilNet in Armenia, this is your daily news digest for Tuesday, November 12. I'm Maria Titizian.
And I'm Paul Chadurjian. Right now, public outcry over the fate of a popular actor.
Plus allegations of voter fraud after a tense election day in Ararat.
And not so frozen, here are the latest numbers of ceasefire violations.
Later, like father, like son, why European audiences and critics are praising the maestro's son. More than 30 artists and intellectuals have submitted a letter to the Prosecutor General of Armenia and the Regional Prosecutor of Godayk Mars, saying that they will stand as guarantors for Vartan Bedrosyan.
As we've been reporting, Bedrosyan, a well-known actor, was involved in a car accident. 2 young boys died as a result. He was charged with vehicular manslaughter and subsequently denied bail. That has resulted in public outcry. According to the country's penal code, individuals who are charged with the crime are denied bail when they pose a threat to society if they attempt to obstruct the criminal proceedings or if they are suspected of trying to flee the country. The overriding sentiment is that Bedrosyan does not fit this profile and thus should have been granted bail.
As most of you know, Bedrosyan has in the past been critical of the ruling regime. During the presidential elections earlier this year, he flew in from Paris to specifically take part in Rafi Hovhannisyan's post-election rallies. Yesterday, the parliamentary faction of the ARF Tashnafstun filed a petition with the Prosecutor General's office to change the measure of the restraint. ARF faction member Arvan Vartanyan said, quote, "A tragedy happened. It is very hard for the families of those who died in the accident to overcome their loss. I deeply mourn the deaths of these young people and offer my condolences to their families. Yet it is necessary to understand that Vartan Bedrosyan is not the kind of man who will avoid an investigation or attempt to hinder it," end of quote. Vartanyan said that the chain of events is, quote, "simply incomprehensible."
Now to the elections in the town of Ararat over the weekend. Ruling party nominee Haik Haikyan has reportedly won the mayor's seat in the cement factory town. According to the preliminary results by the Central Electoral Commission, Haikyan received 4,544 votes. His challenger, prosperous Armenia party member Samuel Barselian, received 4,214 of the ballots cast. Official data shows 8,921 votes out of 13,218 registered voters. Prosperous Armenia is alleging numerous irregularities during the elections in Ararat, including the presence of a large number of police officers. Prosperous Armenia parliament member Naira Zohrabian is alleging that votes were being bought with bribes throughout the town. One spokesman says 10 of the party's activists were taken into custody. The activists were quickly released after keeping silent while being questioned. The party claims that these measures are meant to instill fear. Other complaints were from voters regarding additional names on voter lists that did not exist. The Republican Party regional representative said the elections were conducted very smoothly. In a separate race for the head of the Nishavan village, Republican Party member Pap Hagopian received 427 votes. His challenger, independent Miasnik Hovhannisyan, received 209 votes.
In Yerevan, there's growing concern that Yerevan city officials will once again attempt to raise public transportation fees. You may remember thousands took to the streets a few months ago when the city raised fares by 50% to 150 dirhams from 100 dirhams. Many car owners, including prominent Armenians, began offering commuters free rides in their own cars. Due to the citywide protests and pressure from the public, the city retracted its decision. However, one NGO held a press conference over the weekend to announce that they fear City Hall may announce a new bus fare of 200 dirhams as a strategic tactic. According to the Armenian Consumers Association, this would later allow city officials to then decrease prices to 150, taking into consideration that there will be yet another public outcry, thus making it seem as if they settled for a median price between the current 100 and the falsely pitched 200 dirham fare.
Continuing ceasefire violations on the line of contact, Gharapal's defense ministry says there were 250 violations of the ceasefire agreement between November 3rd and 9th. The report says that Azerbaijani armed forces fired more than 1,000 shots. The ceasefire agreement between Azerbaijan, Armenia, and Nagorno-Karabakh Republic has been in effect since 1994, but that hasn't stopped Azeris from continuing to open fire at Armenian positions.
One of the most influential names in social media and new media spoke to CivilNet founder and director Salpi Ghazarian this week. Alexis Alhanyan is the co-founder of the social news site Reddit. The site is a user-driven social news site and global discussion board with more than 80 million users. Users are the gatekeepers and decide which themes and news items rise to the top of the headlines. This has made Reddit one of the 50 biggest US websites. Alex talked to Selfie about his new book titled Without Their Permission, How the 21st Century Will Be Made, Not Managed.
What is so amazing and so powerful about the internet is that we have this permissionless innovation. We have this ability, like Steve and I had right out of college, to start a website without much money, with 2 computers, in a little apartment in the suburbs of Boston, and have it grow to become bigger than the New York Times. And that's the power of the internet. It's something that more and more people are taking advantage of, and I want more and more people to be thinking this way about not hesitating to get their ideas to the world. And so that's what I mean.
Ohanian knows firsthand knowledge because he continues his prolific work with startups. He has started or invested in more than 60 ventures, including the travel website Hip Monk. His own social enterprise, Bread Pig, has generated more than $200,000 for charities. Watch Selfie's entire interview by following the link on your screen. Today's exchange rates are on the screen as we take a look at the weather.
Rain is in the forecast for Yerevan and Gyumri. Are you ready? Yerevan will see a high of 16 and it'll be 9 degrees in Gyumri.
It'll be cloudy in Stepanakert with a high of 12 degrees Celsius.
And our travel forecast today takes us to the Armenian community of Kolkata, India. Kolkata as it's known, where over the weekend the congregation of the 300-year-old St. Nazareth Church was to have voted on a new committee to manage the church's asset, which includes shares of HSBC Bank that bring an interest income of around $5 million a year to that community. The shares were left by one of the men pivotal in the establishment of the modern-day Hong Kong, Paul Chater, no relation.
Are you sure?
You can watch the documentary by following the link on the screen. By the way, we've been listening to the theme song from the popular 2008 movie Slumdog Millionaire, one of Maria's not-so-favorites.
No, I like the movie, it's just it was too depressing, but anyway.
Over the weekend in our series Hidden People, Maria introduced us to an exciting new artist who goes by the name of Sarko Mine.
Right. While she started out as a professional tennis player in the United States, in the state of Florida actually, Sarko Mine is back in Armenia pursuing her artistic side. She spoke to me about living and creating and being in the present.
I always think that the now is the most important thing, so I try not to dwell too much on my dreams and try to
figure out what's going to happen in the next year.
Try to live in the future, because the future doesn't exist, and I wrote that in my biography. So the past doesn't exist, and the past is past, it's gone, and the future doesn't exist. You don't know what's coming up, so it's best to stay here now.
And in sports news, 15 athletes participated in the 7th motocross tournament held in Yerevan.
This year's race was dedicated to the Qarabakh War veterans. Hrant Sarkisov and Garen Makhitarian were the winners in 2 categories. Motocross racing has been gaining popularity in Armenia and the region. We want to introduce you to an 18-year-old violinist who's quickly building an impressive reputation as one of Europe's most promising young concert soloists.
His name is Emanuel Chiknavorian. Might seem familiar because he is the son of the renowned conductor Loris Chiknavorian. The young Emanuel was a student of Professor Gerhard Schultz at the Vienna University of Music and Performing Arts and a prize winner at the Brahms and Goldberg International Violin Competitions, and was recently awarded first runner-up at the 2012 Eurovision Young Musicians Competition. He has performed with the Polish Radio Chamber Orchestra, the Liechtenstein Symphony Orchestra, and the famous Boston Pops Orchestra, and will have a solo debut at Vienna's Music Verein Golden Hall. Very impressive.
This recurring theme of all these talented geniuses, Vikran and Narek, and today Emanuel. That's our digest for this Tuesday.
We leave you with more from Emanuel Chiknavorian.
See you tomorrow.